But when I first got my license and I was telling everyone, no, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And everyone was just like not really paying attention or.
Maybe something could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in fear with it, right?
Exactly.
That's what I love about real estate. Don't blame the Fed for the high cost of interest rates. Boom, now they're going up.
They are overcorrecting.
Yeah, and they're trying to overcorrect at this point. They didn't get on it. I do question there's some other dash marts and some things like that.
Yeah.
It's a little different products that they're going for. Those are more grocery store products,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, isn't it interesting to see how some other companies have come in and filled that void?
Yeah.
Because Amazon couldn't expand fast enough. They quit.
Yeah.
And if they're feeling good, they keep going. The shift has happened. There are going to be drones that will drop off. I'm convinced of it now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's even that little smart car, electric car that Domino's is trying out.
If you totaled up all of your time, your time is worth something.
Welcome to the Justin Johnston Show. We got a great episode for you today. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, make sure to always hit that subscribe button. And here's episode 10 for you.
I do have an opinion.
Yeah.
Right? I end up having an opinion that I always say, I don't want to predict the markets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's certain aspects I don't, but then I always I do have a strong opinion. I think it's going a certain direction.
Yeah.
And I'd say more times I'm right.
Yeah.
In the real estate world, locally.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is hard to predict outside of Utah because we don't know it as well. But because I've noticed that as well with when I first got my license, I've always just been into real estate stuff. But when I first got my license and I was telling everyone, no, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And everyone was just not really paying attention, or friends that I was trying to get to buy property when they could get a single family home at $350,000, and they were like, "Nah, we're gonna hold off."
Yeah. Prices come back down.
Yeah, and I'm just like, "No, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen." And then now you can't get anything for under $550 for a single family.
When I was buying my rentals on my street and around the block,
Yeah.
with all the people I knew, everybody's like, "Why did you pay so much?" I said, look, I've got kids that are out there trying to rent.
Yeah.
I know what they're trying. Back then, and I didn't think it was going to go up as much, but I
Yeah.
knew damn well it was. And South County lagged, right? South County is not Lehigh.
Yeah, it's not.
Lehigh, American Fork, Pleasant Grove with, but Lehigh's in a class of its own.
Yeah.
I think, some North Saratoga, whatever. There's pots in the North County, but the stuff in South County was just lagging. And I'm living down there. At first I was surprised. I'm like, okay, it's only going to lag for so long.
Yeah.
I don't care where the hell my rentals are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy them for cheaper down here. And every time I bought them, people were questioning, and I was like, it was exactly I knew it, right? So
Yeah.
I knew it. 100% it was and I thought, I did one remodel on one. My biggest problem was when I did the remodels, I was putting too much into them.
Yeah.
Most landlords, would
Yeah.
do the bare minimum. They do stuff to make the sound part of it, but anyway.
Well, and what was crazy too is I had a friend who had $100,000 saved up, and I was trying to see if he would go in because I didn't have the money to put down, but I was like, let's go in on a couple deals together, get 3 rental properties together, all at $300,000, and then that was in 2020. I was like, if we had done that now, those homes would be worth around 480, maybe 500,000. And I was like, man, well, maybe not quite that much, maybe 450,
Maybe.
but still.
It could have been. The ones I know, I bought some for in that range, and that's close to what they are now.
Yeah. And I was like, if you would have just listened to me on those, we would each have pocketed an extra $300,000 over the past few years. Just 2 years, 3 years ago. And I was like, people were just not listening. And so I get what you're saying, where you have an opinion, you want to share it, and it's easier to do that with this type of stuff, So.
Yeah. And I think, and you know what? Predicting is, hey, maybe today, maybe something could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in fear with it, right?
Exactly.
That's what I love about real estate. For
Yeah.
the most part, it's this. If you think you're in and out, do stocks or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it, and I know some people that have had, stocks or they've invested in companies and they come back out and it's like the next thing they know they're like, oh my God, we're upside down. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like just hang tight. You know what I mean? It's like, and I want to sell. Some people have been able, like when they're flipping. So people that are flipping and stuff like that, that's different business altogether. It really is. In fact, you have to be turning so fast at that time to make a profit.
Oh yeah.
But real estate is meant to be held, right? Meaning that if you got caught with your pants down, you're flipping.
Yeah.
Did you so overpay and you put that much into it at a high interest rate that you always have to think, hey, something's going to turn. I might have to hold this. You have to look at every piece like that.
Yeah.
Right? And I've had some that have been great, some that have been okay. That I end up holding for different reasons. But at the end of the day, that's what I like about real estate. Hold it for a couple of years. If a tenant will make your payment for you,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you care?
Exactly.
I'm not even trying to take any money out of them.
Yeah.
So if the tenant's paying $300 more, I'm going to put $300 in. I'm not taking $300 out every month.
Yeah.
Knock that freaking loan out, and have them do it. Not at any faster pace than what the spread is,
Yeah.
I don't have to invest any more in it and do it. It's already standalone. It's doing it. Realize that if I get it vacant, which is only going to be for a short time period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I have to put somebody in, but at the end of the day, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Is that that's why I like real estate. Is
Well, it's
you can go to sleep at the wheel a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's not like you're in a Tesla. You just got to touch the
Yeah.
steering wheel or something, because it's not.
Well, because over 10 years, it's hard to go wrong in real estate. Like if you're willing to hold 10 years, then you're not going to lose money on that property. It's almost impossible to lose money over a 10-year span. And even in stocks too. I mean, it is hard to lose money if you're thinking 10, 20 years out. It's just a lot of people panic, and then that's when things go wrong.
Yeah, when people are trying to get out and they've had it, and I do see it. I mean, it's like coincidentally, I work for Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, to me, is by far the greatest investor of all time, at least in our day.
Yeah.
The guy still owns the original house he bought. Yeah, he owns a shitload of other things too. I'm sure he's got several homes around, but he never. It's like, why do I want to build a multi-million-dollar thing? It just didn't fit.
Yeah.
It's outside of what he was doing, right? Now he's had lots of latitude to do everything he wants, but at the end of the day, he doesn't invest like anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looks at the equities in the companies. He looks at it even though he's buying a share of Apple, he looks at it as if he's buying the company,
Yeah.
not just the stock. He just doesn't look that way. So it's a crazy thing. So you got this, everybody else in the market, all these market players that are looking at it differently, right?
Yeah.
It's like this maybe short term and flip and turn this and that.
Yeah.
They're always trading, and he just sits back and makes very few acquisitions. When he does, everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
He's buying into railroads, now?
Yeah.
Railroads are no good. And it's like, well, because this, and this.
Yeah.
And he's got holdings here. It's the best thing that he could have done, right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
And if they would have bought it, then, you know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's just crazy because he's looking at it in a different way. Whereas I think for me, that's, he's the only investor I know that the way he invests in companies that turns my eye away from real estate a little bit. Everybody else is just it's too much fluctuation. My gut, I got a gut. I can ride through things. You know what I mean? Like I don't get freaked out. I don't have panic attacks over stuff. But if I had all my wealth on the line, I mean, so I've never gone into that. So I say I've got a gut of steel. In some ways I do, but in some ways I know my temperament, so I don't get into those things. But I'll take risks to get into a property or lead or get a partner in when we do stuff. But it's a very interesting scenario.
I mean, a lot of the stuff too, like that I've done is I kind of just consider it like a gamble. It's like a game to me almost, where it's like any money I'm putting into this, just plan on losing 100% of it. And if you can handle that, then this is like your play money. Because I mean, it must have been a year ago when GameStop stock was going crazy. I woke up one morning and I saw that it was like, I read some stuff and then I saw some things happening and I was like, I'm going to see if I can get in on this really quick. And so I was putting in like $1,000 every couple minutes into GameStop, and it was shooting up like a couple percent a minute. And I was like getting all high on myself, and it went up like 20%. I made like a huge chunk of money that morning. And then all of a sudden it just starts tanking. Like, and
Did you sell out or no? You
yeah, I sold out, and I think I ended up losing like $100 or something. But from the amount I was putting in, it could have been a lot worse. And so, I mean, it only lasted, it was like 30 minutes. I was doing all this in bed on my phone when I just woke up, and I was just like, all of a sudden wanted an adrenaline rush or something. And so, yeah, I was just tanking, and I was like starting to sweat a little bit. And so, yeah, I just pulled everything out. But I think that's the smartest way to go about it. If I was putting in my whole life savings into trying to do something like that, there's just, it's such a low odds that you're going to come out victorious in that.
Yeah. I don't know. And the older I get, the less I play with
Yeah.
it, you know, of course, but I think you got to find out some of those things. I think you got to be
Yeah.
able to see where your temperament is and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But what I found out is overall, people's temperaments are not very. You know, I'm surprised at how many people do have quite a bit of money and stuff, and they just don't have the temperament to ride something out. It's maybe the money was made by some other way or inherited or something, but it's really interesting to see that. But
Yeah.
over the last 24, 48 hours, I uploaded 3 news articles from Globe Street. And it was relating to industrial properties, but it was the market overall, right? So I uploaded those 3. So if you want to go to my Instagram, actually it was not on Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook and Twitter. I think I can upload it to Twitter as well. If you go to my accounts there, you'll see the articles, so you can actually hit the links if you want to do that. But the 3 that stood out, and the reason I kind of went through with that is, and on one of them I posted, it was something about the federal, the Fed had crossed over 4%.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a little unrelated to the articles here. That was a 4th article that I uploaded, but it was relating to that. It was that it crossed 4% in 2 days in a row or something like that. It's now just very below that as of this day when we're doing it, the 8th of March at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah.
If that matters. But what was interesting is so I put on there, don't blame the Fed for the high cost of interest rates. The effing, and I did effing, I didn't, you know, I mean, should I not say that? But
That's fine.
the effing lenders, because there's a spread on top of that. So I always say the 10-year treasury is sitting at about 4%. The actual overnight funds that they call it, it's there's a term that's used here. Basically, it's, you know, at the end of every day, it's a little higher than the 10-year treasury, right? If you had that, so let's say it's 4.5, which is what was quoted there. Instead of that spread of 100 to 200 basis points, you know, for what would prime be, they're talking about having 350 to 400 basis points above that. Now, that could include some construction loans and things like that, but I mean, we're talking, you know, so for 4.5%, you're talking 8. You could be as high as 8.5% on that type of a loan. You know, that's dramatically higher than what it's been. It's still not horrible, but there's a frustration with my parts there. It's like the lenders are always. It seems when things are down, they're pumping in up till that point that they've like overpumped. Nobody asks questions. You know, it's like the Fed saying, I'm not too worried about the inflation, when everybody was like, hey, things are kind of going high. We're okay.
Yeah.
No need to hike it. Boom. You know, now they're going up.
They are overcorrecting in a
Yeah,
sense.
and they're trying to overcorrect at this point. They didn't get on it.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to stamp it out. Cost of capital has made projects be held off. Stalled is the term that was used in the article. Stalled, not that they're going to be not developed, right? But we still have growth. We have net migration in the United States. All these markets. What's interesting is they are quoting that the multifamily industrial is going to probably add another 2.5%. I think it's 400,000 units of multifamily units. And that's 400 million square feet of industrial that'll be added across the country, which will tie into that last article. 400 million, remember that, even though
Yes.
they're unrelated. It is where Amazon, on their buying binge and where they're sitting at right now, it's pretty amazing actually how many square feet that they're under right now. But ultimately for that, it has slowed things down. Now, in Utah, there's projects that are on the planning
Yeah.
side of things that have kind of been tabled for now. Like, hey, let's hold back. We got the ground. This is the type of project we're going to do, but they're not building them. There was a lot of stuff that was already permitted, committed on the loan, and there's been a lot of product come out of the ground. I don't know how much we would add, but definitely 2 or 3 million square feet to that 400 million that'll be built in 2023. But the little transition that's happening, Amazon, everybody talks about Amazon as if they made a mistake. I don't think that's what Amazon did. I think Amazon knew in 2021, with the pandemic right there, and they're staring them in the face, they're like, hey, this isn't going to last forever. We've got cash. We're going to start buying ground and facilities, and they went on a buy binge, right? I mean, it was an amazing expansion that they did. 25%, let's see, total growth of 20, I mean, they're sitting at about 400 million square feet out there right now that they have under roof. But they're closing down 99 logistics facilities in 30 states. So that seems pretty broad, you know, but it's a lot of the last mile things that they're taking off. There's other delivery people that are doing that last mile, so to speak, you know, in other sectors, but it's here in Utah, last mile means probably last 10 miles, last 15 miles, because that's, you know, there's facilities that
spread out.
It's a little spread out, and and it seems to work, right?
Yeah.
They can get it delivered pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. So the prediction is that topped out, it was about a year ago right now where they said, hey, we are going to start unloading some of our stuff. So me personally, I think that they actually acquired knowing, hey, in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to hit capacity. Then we'll make an evaluation as to where the growth is, right? But they were buying in markets that were going to be hot. They knew what they were doing. Unfortunately, they went so aggressive that it, I think, added to a lot of the cost increases in construction. They had everybody committing to concrete, steel, all that stuff. So it's an interesting phenomenon that's happened. That we know steel's down quite a bit. Maybe 15, 20% across the board, which is good. And so I know that, I guess from my 2 cents on that, you know, they were already backing off before the Fed was raising interest rates, right? So if you're standing back and you're not aware of all the timing of things happening, it looks like, oh, you know, Amazon's even backing off. Well, yeah, they were, but they were doing it
They
6
kind
months
of
before
overbought.
rates started coming up, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have a crystal ball. I don't think it had anything to do with it. You know, they're gonna keep selling things, little packages to every home.
Yeah.
And we're now used to ordering it that way.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And
People can't live without that now.
they're just gonna get better at doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Why keep doing something that they know as well as anybody. Now, I do question there's some other Dash Marts and some things like that.
Yeah.
It's a little different products that they're going for. Those are more grocery store products,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, isn't it interesting to see how some other companies have come in and filled that void
Yeah.
because Amazon couldn't expand fast enough, right? To fill,
Exactly. Because I think Amazon would have wanted to cover everything, but they just couldn't do it quick enough.
they can't do it. And some other smart people that were already delivering
And who had the infrastructure
had
to
the
do
infrastructure,
it.
had the software
Yeah.
to promote and get as many drivers out there.
Yeah, and they already had the fleet of drivers too. I mean, with DoorDash, they had, I think they're up to a couple million drivers now under their belt.
Making okay livings,
Yeah.
and on their own times and
Uh-huh.
their schedules and stuff. And I'm getting more of those people that say, "Hey, give me a high rating." You know, like right, they can
Yeah.
text me in between their thing. Give me a high rating if you think my service is good. This is me building, paying for my family. This is my career, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, good for them.
Yeah.
That's
No.
freaking awesome that
It is.
that there's an opportunity, because you think about it, for me, looking
Mm-hmm.
at somebody that's an immigrant or something like that, I mean, there's a lot of hard jobs out there. To me, on that one, I'm not saying it's not hard. You're putting in the hours for sure.
It's not as hard as laying concrete or something.
Yeah, it's, you know, somebody that even an older person, you know,
Yeah.
maybe they're looking for a second income or something.
Well,
or
that's actually a lot of them are
they?
are older people. I mean, when I'm out there dashing, you see a lot of, I'd say people in their mid 60s, sometimes even low 70s that are delivering food, because I mean that they're probably retired from their career.
Yeah.
They're maybe bored. They need something to fill their time with. They figure, well, I don't mind driving around. Might as well go and do this for a couple hours every day and can earn.
And you could quit
Yeah.
after every delivery, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
so if it's something they were feeling tired, they were
Yeah.
just like, or they've got a commitment.
Their
they've gotta
back's
go,
hurting.
Their back's
something.
hurting.
Yeah.
They quit.
Yeah.
And if they're feeling good, they keep going.
Yeah. Exactly.
What a great opportunity. I
Yeah.
mean, I think so. I mean, it's actually about as good of a job that you could get with better upside than normal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you were really going to push it, right?
Yeah.
And willing to, but then if you don't need it, if
Exactly.
you've already got your retirement coming in, Social Security, whatever else,
Yeah.
you just want some extra cash, you can do it for as long
Yeah.
as you want.
Exactly.
It's a very good thing, and I think that's where, that whole expansion of all that. Now we're talking Amazon drivers, right, and the
Yeah.
way that they can get that last little bit, but the shift has happened.
Yeah. It has.
To me, I'm like, okay, I paid for Walmart. I paid the $112, I think, for the year
Yeah.
for free delivery.
Yep.
I still have to pay the tip, and I want to pay the tip. Right?
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, okay, if I'm paying the delivery fee, which I am in a little way because I paid it,
Yeah.
but
But
I take advantage of it, like
Uh-huh.
to the max, right? It's like, we don't have milk. Well, I don't have to go to the store.
yeah.
I'll order it, have it delivered at 8:00 in the morning.
Yeah. If you can save 30 minutes,
Oh my
45
gosh,
minutes,
you know.
then that's well worth it.
It is, and it's well worth it, and especially it's like, oh, well, I had your Cheetos on. I need my
Yeah.
your cheddar Cheetos.
Yeah.
But it is that easy.
Yeah.
It's that easy. It's
Yeah.
and they've got it, and it's like, so you got Dash Store, DoorDash, Grubhub, Amazon's already doing their end of everything to and fro, but
And
then
you got
Walmart.
Facebook Marketplace now
Facebook,
too.
Marketplace. You mean to buy? Yeah,
To buy other stuff. That's kind of its own other little sector of this whole delivery market too,
yeah.
which is interesting as well.
It's very interesting because the longer I've been doing real estate, you realize that the way the cities look at infrastructure, roads, sewer, power, I mean, all the things that
Water.
they have to go,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, how many trips a day are these people going to make? And they've got it down, right? Say they've got it down to 5 trips a day, right?
Yeah.
And I think one trip is leave and come back. Maybe not. Anyway, but that's, to me, a lot of times when they say it, what it is, I'm thinking that's probably low.
Yeah.
Could be in the past, but now, a neighbor across the street, she works from home.
Yeah.
She will leave and she goes and does things. She goes out in the community. But there's days that I'll see, on these snowy days, because I didn't see her tire tracks coming out of
Yeah.
the driveway. She'll have food delivered.
Uh-huh.
She'll have groceries delivered. Say food, fast food or a
Yeah.
meal for her kids and stuff. She can stay at her house, plug that stuff out. How many trips is she making? Okay, so now you got all the DoorDash people
Yeah.
that are making the trips out there.
Yeah.
But it's not as comprehensive. I think it takes less, right? I mean, there's instead of having people go into the streets and everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's them that are doing it out there,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
can make more trips for fewer, actually leaving the home, right?
Yeah.
I look at production. There's something about it that's just brought a higher level of production.
Well, because those Dashers or Amazon drivers or whatever, they're bringing multiple packages. Because like even when you're a DoorDash driver, you usually have 2 or 3 orders in your car at once that are kind of in the same neighborhood, and that's how you're doing it. So it is less trips, even in that sense too.
I didn't know that until I wasn't like, hey, he's going to drop that off.
Yeah,
at the
it'll
other
tell you.
house. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, might as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is working better. You want it working for everything, right?
Yeah,
in society
exactly.
in that way. So I think it's an interesting phenomenon that continues to happen, and I just see it continuing.
Yeah.
There are going to be drones that will drop off. I'm convinced of it now. I
Oh,
mean,
100%.
there's going to be multiple ways that won't take up roadway system,
Yeah.
or I look at well, just the way it is now. I mean, it's just there's deliveries, things that are happening, and they're going around. It's
Well, there's even that
becoming
like
so efficient.
yeah, there's even that like little smart car, electric car that Domino's is trying out, where they don't even need a person driving, and just they put
Do they
the
have
pizza.
them around here?
I don't think they have any around here, as
Yeah,
far as I'm aware. But I know they're testing them out in a lot of different places where they just have. It's like, have you seen those cars? They're like little electric smart cars,
I have seen some of them like that.
and the workers will bring out the pizza, set them in, and then it just goes around and makes the deliveries. And so I guess as the customer, you just walk out and grab the pizza out of the car. I'm not really sure how that works because I don't think it has anything to like actually go up to the doorstep and drop it off. But I mean, but like we were saying, it's just everything's becoming more efficient and saving time on a lot of different things.
Efficient to where that'll bring down the cost, right? If things
Yeah.
are more efficient, then you can get the cost where the average person. I mean, I would have thought it, was a luxury, right? To have
Yeah.
something delivered, my groceries delivered to my home,
Yeah.
when nobody's doing it, which is not that long ago, right?
Yeah, a couple
Well, no,
years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, I remember I was actually jumped on that, like when Walmart offered.
Yeah.
Back up, not delivery. It was that
Oh, the pickup.
they did the shopping
Yeah.
and you just go pick up.
Yeah.
My wife was hesitant, like doing it. I'm like, oh, I thought she'd ordered, and we're going over there. I'm like, oh my God, we got to go in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's wrong with me? It's like, I'm thinking, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
they're going to shop. She did it one time. I don't think she's gone in the store. Maybe
Yeah.
TJ Maxx. I honestly don't believe that she's been in Walmart to do a full grocery other than, hey, I'm going to run in and get
Yeah.
a milk and bread and out.
Yeah. If they're already out doing something.
But then the delivery,
Yeah.
she held off on the delivery. She's like, that just seems over the top. I'm like, well, you didn't have to put Hendrix in the car seat,
Yeah.
right? On the day that you were doing it. That is worth how much, right? I mean, because when you
Exactly.
get in the car seat, he's great. Get him in the store. I mean, he can grab anything you go past.
Yeah.
And then he starts freaking out, right? He's
Yeah.
2.5 years old. Who's going to win? He will win.
Yeah.
We might be able to get him out of there, but we didn't complete our shopping.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
exactly.
so welcome to the world. I mean, and I don't know when she's gone over to pick something up, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a resistance because we've not done it
Yeah.
before. Once you do it a couple times, then everybody I know that's done a couple things like that, they're like, no, just do the DoorDash. Again, a good example. We're sitting there the other night. My stepson coming over. He's with his fiance, and it was Sunday. We didn't know anybody was coming over, so we didn't have a meal prepared. But
Yeah.
my wife would want to do that. Oh, hey, everybody come over.
Yeah.
Many of the kids come over. He did more of a drop in, and I said, hey, have you guys eaten? They're like, no, we haven't eaten. I said, it wasn't like a Sunday meal, right?
Yeah.
But I know he loves Taco Bell.
Uh-huh.
So I said, hey, you know what? You want to hang tight? I said, let me do a DoorDash,
Yeah.
and I ordered it, right? It took him a little bit longer, by the start to finish, but at the end of the day, they were able to we were able to talk. Nobody
Yeah.
had to leave and
Yeah.
go do it. And
So you get the family time.
we got everything ordered that everybody wanted, a little
Yeah.
family time, and they weren't, they did have a short time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't mind staying there a little bit
Yeah.
if they didn't. Nobody had to go out and get it, right?
Exactly.
And so it was worth it.
Well, and
it was
really,
fun.
how much, what is the cost of that family time? I mean, I would pay $20 as a delivery fee and tip if it meant, oh, well, I get to spend an hour of me actually being able to hang out, talk,
Yeah.
rather than me having to go pick something up. I mean, I'd pay probably more than $20. Some people maybe don't have the financial luxury to do that, but it is worth it when you do get to have those times where you get to catch up with family or friends or whatever, and you all get to actually stay together and someone doesn't have to go leave and pick stuff up, because I mean, it does take away from it a little bit if someone has to go and do
does.
that. You got to fill them in on the conversation when
And
they get
sometimes
back.
you just have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'll be the one to do it in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, you guys just stay here. Don't worry
Uh-huh.
about it. My natural initial is, hey, send the kids to go do it.
Yeah.
But they aren't there all the time.
Yeah.
They're breaking away from their lives to come back by our home because they want to be with us and see us and catch us and, you know,
Yeah.
and do whatever. Why would I take that time? I mean, seriously, it's like
Yeah.
you can only get so much time. And so I think at the end of the day, and I know what you're saying. I mean, if you want to run a very fixed, low budget, it's hard to
Yeah,
condone
it
doing
is.
some of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Having said that, if you totaled up all of your time, I mean, your time is worth something.
It is.
You
yeah.
are going to you're going to use gas, you're going to wear your car, tires, it all adds up.
It
Something,
does,
all that.
yeah.
There's a cost to everything. You might get in a wreck,
Yeah.
you know,
And then
that could cost you
a
thousands.
speeding ticket.
Speeding ticket, because
Yeah.
you're trying to hurry and you want to get back to
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, it really is, I think there's I'd say, the people that have just a little extra money are realizing this. I don't know if the wheels of time have sped up.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, I got a video the other day, yesterday, and it was, so this time of year, 40 years ago, 1983, was flood in Utah, right? I mean, there was
Yeah.
snowpack was crazy. The town of Thistle up Spanish Fork Canyon, that mountain literally eroded. I mean,
Yeah.
it mudslide, and it was like a massive. In fact, it's the single largest mudslide ever recorded in the United
Really?
States. Yeah, I saw that the other day because it was, you know, people were talking about it this year with the 40-year anniversary, and they said it was still the single largest mudslide in the United States
Wow.
that's ever been recorded. And I was like, okay, that's massive. Right?
That is. Yeah.
And fortunately, it was up in the mountains. Thistle's a very small town. I think a couple people's lives were taken. I don't know if it was like in the actual mudslide or
Yeah.
later, some things. I mean, there was, I mean, down State Street in Salt Lake, they had sandbags and they were channeling water down through the, you know, the runoff. I was living in Pleasant Grove. They had, anyway, Utah Lake was at its highest levels, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, my dad worked for the Bureau of Reclamation, and Lake Powell was at like, it's crazy to see the dam. It's like the water's just like barely below, like from the aerial photos.
Yeah.
And anyway, it went out. And anyway, it was pretty random. A friend of mine sent it to me, and he's like, hey, I think this is your dad in the video. And Lake Powell, from their Instagram, released this video, and it was my dad. He was sitting there. They were down at the
Really?
dam consulting all the engineers, like, okay, let's open up all these spigots. But they'd opened up one. There was so much pressure coming down that there'll be just like a little bit of a bump in the concrete, and it'll kind of make the water jump up. It was like showing it in this video. Very informational.
Yeah.
It was like low tech, showing like this, the water is coming down.
Yeah.
It was like very engineer oriented. You know, there was no good marketing behind it, but
Yeah.
you could see what was happening. Anyway, it takes a little jump up, and when it comes back down, there's so much force with the water, and it was, of course, it comes down, and it may bounce a couple times, but it was like right where the elbow was, like when it was going to turn and then go out.
Yeah.
It would start to erode like
Yeah.
concrete. So they opened up, and then they turned it off to see what damage. They could tell something was going on in there, the way it was spitting out the thing. And there was, 20 feet wide, 4 feet deep, what had gone in the concrete, like pop that out. Water is amazingly
Yeah.
powerful, Anyway, they said, okay, we think this is going to happen. Let's release as much freaking water as we can in the shortest distance until we see the red sandstone like blowing out, right? The damage there. I don't know if that's what they said. That's when they turned it off on the video. Anyway, but it was really cool. My dad was on there, right? And I was thinking, hold on, why were we talking about that though? What was I saying? Because it was something that we were,
I'm not sure.
in reference to the
We were talking about
40
like
years ago today. It was the flooding. But I mean, all the questions with that. And I made a jump there, didn't I?
yeah, I don't know where something about because you had said something about how like this generation is willing to spend money to make up time, and then like it was just like immediate you transitioned over to that. So I don't even know where that was going.
ADHD taking over.
Yeah.
Like, I made a weird connection. I think the point was I was thinking about my childhood, right?
Uh-huh.
And the way time was viewed, time, money,
Yeah.
and if and that type of stuff. Things have changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
The idea of what you would spend your money on, I think, is maybe where I was at, and I think it's like, at the end of the day, 1983, 40 years ago, cell phones didn't exist.
Yeah.
There wasn't the graphics on these things. I mean, there was guys like my dad that were literally calculating these huge. Here's the water flow coming in.
Yeah. It wasn't all algorithms.
This is like, if we don't get this much water out,
Yeah.
it's going over the freaking top of the dam, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like all that pressure and shit, and without to cause the least amount of damage.
Yeah.
There's going to be some damage or some, and they actually went in, and on top of the dam itself, they actually built. I didn't realize it, they put 4 feet of like plywood, and then they built these steel things, and in 2 days, they across the entire dam, they ended up putting up 8 feet of that would hold it back, and it was leaking through, right? It wasn't like totally sealed, but it was enough to keep the majority of the water back. It was crazy that they were doing that at that time,
Yeah.
Totally off the subject of what we were talking about, but I think obviously the trigger was what people are willing to spend their time. The average person is able to. We say cell phones, right, as if that's what our smartphones are, right?
Yeah.
Cell phones and smartphones are totally different. I mean,
Completely different.
what you're holding in your hand is everything.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
universe of knowledge.
you can make millions of dollars off of something in your hand now, which was unheard of before.
It's unheard of. I mean, even so, the pace that things are moving.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where, I mean, how can you not keep up? We're talking, and I would even say, I mean, so 1983, we were just coming off some of the highest interest rates that we had ever had
Yeah.
in my lifetime, for sure, in my dad's lifetime, I think. But it was because we just finished building a home about that time. And I remember my dad, his loan on his home was at 18%, I think, at the time.
Wow.
That's the interest rate that he had on his home.
I mean, that's almost like credit card level.
I mean, you pay, I mean, you're paying it, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like crazy, the amount. And he felt fortunate. He was able to get it financed and done, right? It's like, whatever the hell I got to do,
Yeah.
not lose it, at the point. I'm not exactly sure where he was at, but at the end of the day, I remember everybody was stressed. Friends, during that time when interest rates were, so the 10-year treasury would have been closer to 12, 13% or something like that, right?
Yeah.
At that peak. So that spread was 3 to 5% on top, whatever
Yeah.
was going to happen there. And I remember going to school up to the Christmas break. We'd come, and then we went back after the Christmas break, and a dozen friends of mine, their parents had left.
Yeah.
Right? There was no jobs. Geneva had shut down, and there's a lot of factors there, but a lot of it was just, there was a doomsday,
Yeah.
about a lot of the, what was happening, right? We've made it through some difficult times. I do believe that, that was right on the heels of some of the more liberal policies and things like that with how we're doing it. I don't know if anybody's got it totally nailed down, the right way to do it, but at the end of the day, we're in a totally different world right now.
Yeah.
It really is. The United States is in a totally different place. We're talking about, so the final thing, and just to reference it, that because it ties in, Tesla is building like a massive, they bought 4,200 acres in Mexico. I think it's just right over the border. It's close to the United States. They're going to build a plant that's about 2 times the size of what they've got down in Texas, Austin, I think is where they're at.
Yeah, I think it is Austin.
They call it a major gigafactory. They are announced it just the other day, and they plan to break ground in 90 days. Now, that couldn't happen in the United States.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me now that I understand some things, right? Mexico, as bad as we gripe, it's not Ukraine and Russia, right?
Yeah.
We've got pretty good relations with our bordering countries. And Mexico, if they can handle that plant, and then what they're saying is they're building a lot of that across the border. Tesla's made a huge investment. It's going to come down to can we keep up
Yeah.
with our industrial on our side of the border to handle the transactional stuff coming forward? Not just Teslas, all the other stuff they're doing. I think, Ford's got a plant down there, Kohler, sinks and toilets, and I mean, they're making stuff that a lot of stuff's being made there. I'd rather have it made there than in China. You know? And the Mexican people are good hard workers, and we have even though there's a little bit of a language barrier, we're sharing more in our customs of who we are. We're still in the North America, right? And we're
exactly.
there, and we've been here, and we've got a long tradition, and we've got, I think, what I would say, just a better overall relationship. And I think that that's the question, right? The question isn't like, oh my gosh, they stole this facility from us. They're building it there because we can't do it.
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Exactly.
Why is it 2 times the size as what is in Austin? Because we have the EPA and we have all sorts of things that regulate how fast we could do it. We talked earlier about Texas Instruments coming up. They bought the facility October 2021. I felt like all the news that's been released now that they're going to build another 2 million square foot facility, or I think it's another 1 million square feet that they're going to do, the new chips that they're doing. I bet that they had that on their mind because the ground was there. I bet they had it on their mind day one, but it's not something they could even released, in 2021, October. So they announce it in
2023.
2023, right? A year and a half later, and it's like, okay, we're going to start in 6 months. Well, that makes sense. They've got the planning. That's what I would think. It'd take about 2 years.
Yeah.
About 2 years to go start to finish. That's about how fast you can move. And I would say Utah is, for a Texas Instruments, we would move heaven and earth to make that happen.
Yeah.
It could be 10 years in California, maybe. I mean, there's a reason Elon moved to Texas, so he could do the stuff that he wanted to do. And that's the other companies there. Not that comes with the price too. The ultimate where things are at is all of this is announced. It's going to happen, right? What's doomsday about this?
Yeah.
It's just changing. Everything's always changing, right? Are we going to be able to change and take part of the growth? Because I mean, they're going to keep building Teslas, right? They're going to keep all this stuff is going to keep happening, and some people are going to cry wolf and oh my gosh, it's going under, and I just don't. I think when that time comes, I'm not against saying what I think's happening. I just think at the end of the day, how fast can you move? Have you been doing it this way your whole life? Is it hard to transition? Yeah, it's kind of hard, especially if you've had success doing it, and now you're looking. But I mean, to go 40 years ago, to where Lake Powell is going to, I mean, we just didn't have the infrastructure. I mean, right after that, they built these huge, pumps that was going to pump from the Great Salt Lake and spit out the water clearing the West Desert.
Really?
I don't even know if they fired them up one single time. And they actually corroded because they're right there on the salt flats. And it was Norm Bangerter was the governor at the time. And they call it, I think, Bangerter's blunder or something like that, because it was like cost, I don't know, 20, 30 million bucks to put these. But it was havoc, right? The flood, our snowpack was havoc. We get what we get in the winter. We don't recapture anything else really throughout the year. We're in the desert. We're with Nevada and Arizona and all these states in the West that we don't have a lot of water. We really don't. We have sprinkler systems in our stuff, and I've seen it's been interesting. And I have seen some of those changes that are coming. St. George, I think they can only have like a little patch of grass now, which is something we probably should implement up here a lot more.
Well,
I don't know why.
I think that's how Arizona is too, because they just put like all the rocks in, and then you usually have like a little bit of grass section or even turf. A lot of people do turf now.
Yeah, my wife hates the turf when she sees it. I'm like, driving by, can you tell that that's turf?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell it's turf. She says that's horrible. I'm like, well, they're not having to water that.
Yeah, and it's green all year round.
Yeah, and it's not for a yard.
No.
It's a patch of green grass because that's what we've been used to seeing there.
Yeah.
That you don't ever have to mow or water. I get it. It's turf, but I mean, hey, Pleasant Grove. When I played high school there, we had a grass field. They have a beautiful, beautiful turf field now.
Yeah.
I've never played on turf,
Yeah.
They say it's harder when you hit. It's like, well, it's drier.
Yeah, it's not as padded.
I don't know, but it's at the end of the day, things just keep changing. Can you change with the times? That's it. That's really it. And anyway, that's the most exciting part of what I've been doing here with you each week is it's brought these things to a head every single day that we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Every time we film, we're looking at the latest things that are changing.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, I have to stretch. Are we changing with it? Can we make this change? Can we do it?
Yeah.
And the end goal is to serve our clients, give the best advice we can, and also, take advantage of this market that we're in, whatever that market is, right?
Yeah.
And it's been up and down all over, but at the end of the day, I think we're doing that. We're doing a better job. And I'm not a doomsdayer, so
Yeah,
if it's
me
there,
neither.
we'll talk about the doomsday things that's happening, but you're rarely going to see that. I'm going to try to take the positive spin how we can get out of it, but neither here nor there, but appreciate you tuning in. Please subscribe and like what you see and comment on anything. You can send us the email through that or just comment on this video of what we can do to make it better. Thank you.